to critical EDH and beyond. I'm Eric.
I'm Austin.
And today we're keeping tabs on cEDH.
Hell yeah.
Dude, we've been getting so many Edge of Eternity spoilers. I woke up this morning and I was looking at this and I was like, holy cow. Tolarian Academy, it's back.
Oh, unban it.
Unban it. We can be trusted.
Yeah.
So for those listening, what we're talking about is a recent mythic rare land that got spoiled from Edge of Eternities. Reading from the top, it says Uthros Titanic God Core. It's a land and its type is planet, of course. It enters tapped like all of the best lands. However, when you tap it, it taps for 1 blue. But then it has a unique effect that we're seeing with this most recent set called Station 12. Mm-hmm. That means at sorcery speed, you can either tap 1 creature or any number of creatures with total power adding up to 12. So you can either have 1 12-power creature or 12 1-power creatures. And any way you organize it, it's going to put station counters on Uthros, which gives it the ability to pay a blue and tap, and you get 1 blue for each artifact you control.
Yeah, Academy text. It's pretty wild, right?
I haven't seen this in a while.
Yeah, I did not think that this card would ever get printed. I realistically, it reads so well. Mm-hmm. But then you think about it.
Yeah, this reminds me of Shadow, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, and Vivi, where I think this is a very well-designed card and has me very excited for what they're bringing over at WotC, because it's got an incredibly powerful effect that's not entirely unachievable, but also there's no way to just vomit this out and then just like go to town, go bounce on it crazy style. Like you have to like build around it in ways that are going to cost you slots or limit this to a select few decks.
Well, and see, there's another green version of this that's basically Gaia's Cradle as well, right? And I was talking to Sylvan about it and being like, oh, is this a Selvala card? Because Phyrexian Dreadnought, like it's a perfect.
Oh man!
But then it's
right
like,
there.
oh wait, you gotta tap it as a sorcery. It's like, oh, never mind.
Oh, that's fascinating. Yeah. For listeners who have never met Sylvan, they I think are definitely like kind of like one of the core pillars of the Denver cEDH community. They're both well known as a judge, but also like the Selvala player. I think you've never played cEDH in Denver until you've lost to Sylvan.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think that's like a great example of how this is a very difficult mechanic to like cheat.
Right. There's so many like mechanisms in here that you're like, it's not broken.
Yeah. Why is generating so much blue mana somehow so balanced? So I am really interested to see how this ends up getting played. Like, is this going to be another card that we only see in like Urza? Are we going to be able to see this in like 2-color piles, do you think?
Is it even going to see in Urza? Like, you have to use your creatures. You have to like see your creatures that you already want to tap for blue.
Yeah.
To crew this thing. Like, I don't know what's gonna what deck is gonna play.
This is gonna cause so many people to put a lore counter on Urza Saga and then pay 2 colorless to generate an artifact creature. That I think is gonna be one of the biggest changes in play patterns we see with this card.
But if it gets turned on, can you lose that game?
Dude, all I'm saying is if it's turned on, I'm turned on. But I just think that like you can't fetch for it because it's a planet.
Yep.
Right.
It comes into play tap.
It comes into play tap, so you are setting yourself back. And even if you've got some like Phyrexian Dreadnought effect, you still also have to pay a blue to activate it. So more than likely, we're not going to see this online until like turn 3, turn 4.
Even I think a lot longer than that. I think this card's like kind of a trap.
Yes, I think that like it's untenable and kind of like unfeasible. I think in turbo shells, like low key, this I think is like kind of a buff to like stacks decks almost.
Sure.
Right, because a lot of stacks effects are stapled onto artifacts, You're already looking to slow the game down, and oftentimes they really, really struggle to cross the finish line. So something that already kind of synergizes what stacks decks are often doing, and then giving you this huge burst of like blue mana, while all of your opponents are trapped behind some random like Deafening Silence or Weathered Runestone effect. I could see this like finding its home and you know, kind of like obviously like Oswald Fiddlebender can't run it because it's mono white, but that type of like kind of like grindy, sloggy artifact big deck.
You know what would be interesting for this card is if you're in a Seedborn Muse deck.
Ooh.
Like if you can abuse this like artifact mana with a Seedborn Muse or the new Greenland, like maybe it gets there, right? Because you can tap all your creatures and it gets turned on, maybe, or like you flip it from a Thrasios, so it's already into play tapped.
I do think the station effect being sorcery speed is probably what's going to prevent this from being in other people's list. Because for instance, if it wasn't, you could do kind of like the Valley Flood Caller thing.
Absolutely.
Where as you're casting countering spells, you get 2 station counters at a time closer to like having access to like 7 blue mana. And then like you said, there is essentially a green version of it that is reads functionally the same as this card, except its station effect is Guy's Cradle.
Yeah. So actually, you just spoke about Valley Flood Caller. If your plan is to storm with Valley Flood Caller, this might get you the burst of mana at the end of your storm to keep going.
Ooh.
Because you'd be able to untap your Valley Flood Caller, because there is another ability that says
prowess,
+1/+1.
Oh man, I wonder if that does that mean, bro, Elsha pilots? That's right, Kevin. We're talking about you. Elsha with Riz. Does Elsha with Riz play this? I mean, it's super slow because it enters tapped. But with Elsha, you're always trying to do stuff at instant speed. Probably not.
Or maybe Vivi?
Ooh. Yeah, Vivi needs the buff. They've been losing a lot of games.
Because like Vivi, like you'll have that high power creature that you're not doing anything with other than activating it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like swinging out with Vivi.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting. I'm interested to see what shell gets to play this card, or what's testing it, but I just don't know if it's going to get there.
Yeah, a lot of super duper cool stuff coming out of Edge of Eternities. Really, really interested to see what keeps coming out. For instance, Frenzied Baloth. This is like Alistair's Shepherd, but when it started seeing the warning signs of taking steroids, it just kept taking more. It's a 2 green beast. Creature, aren't they all? And it can't be countered. Love to see that. It has trample and haste, and creature spells you control can't be countered, and combat damage can't be prevented.
Right. So this gets through One Ring.
This gets everything through, and it gets through everything.
Yeah.
I think this is not playing any 60 card formats. I expect this to like wreck house in a lot of limited shells. But also I think that this is something that like if you're in like any like 2 color shells splashing green, even a lot of like 3 colors shells splashing green,
creature combo decks.
Yeah.
Right.
It just seems really good. Like I think that like honestly, like I could even see a world where like Kinnan kind of wants this if you're on more of like a big flips, grind them into dust style, as well as like if you're on kind of like a manual creature storm list, like you may see with like Rock Thrash, where they're constantly like recasting like Cloud of Fairies and stuff. I think that this is the type of I wouldn't define it as power creep, but this like movement towards like one color getting more and more powerful. Like green has gotten a lot of really interesting tech. We just got Nature's Rhythm, and then even though it's not like extremely prolific, we got Legolas's Quick Reflexes last year. We're getting a lot of like unique effects to green, or stronger effects that green has seen in the past, but at cheaper and more like powerful creatures. That I don't know. I'm really interested to see if this makes it easier for like I hate to say it, but like Tayam. Are you getting buffed by this?
I mean, maybe.
It doesn't have counters put on it.
I think the problem with that in Tayam is that it never has enough cards in hand. It's looking for just like a creature tutor to get you there.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah,
but I don't know. Like I do think this will see play testing.
I don't think TNT plays it.
It might just be like a Rog Thras.
I bet Maelstrom Wanderer plays this.
We got a thumbs up. We got a thumbs up.
I'm gonna get a double thumbs up from the producer's chair. Yeah. I mean, the only bummer is that it can't be reduced by team or battle cruiser. That's like the biggest downside of the card. Yeah, super interested.
But this does get you through, like, if your win line is Finale.
Yeah. Oh,
this is a creature that you play and then Finale, and you can still kill everyone.
All right. I would like a prediction from you, Austin. Do you think when is Edge of Eternities released?
It's like a month and a half.
Okay.
I think.
So 2.5 months from now, 1 month after Edge of Eternities is released, do you think we will see this card in more decks, or Diet Tolarian Academy in more lists?
I think this card, 100%.
You think we're going to see this one a lot more?
Yeah, I think this card will see at least some play in some lists. I think people are going to test out the Academy and test out the Cradle variants and realize that they're not good.
Yeah. Like, every list that's been trying to find a spot for Growing Rights of Itlamok will probably try the new Cradle land and then cut it for this.
Yeah,
Potentially,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, like, I've even thought about, like, the tap lands in Minstrel, and it's still, I'm like, nope. It's just nope.
Yeah, you need a really big creature to kind of, like Lumra or Corvold. But
in some casual EDH, those cards are going to slap.
Either way, I feel like we've seen so many cards like this out of Edge of Eternities. I am stoked for that set. I am expecting it to be very similar to like Bloomburrow, where we see some solid all-stars coming out of it early on.
Sure.
But I would not be surprised if we are still talking about cards that people are like discovering in cEDH like months and months and months from now.
Absolutely.
Speaking of things that we are discovering, I was looking around at all the things that we've been talking about previously, and Pool Priority is sold out.
Yeah.
Way to go, Pool
Congrats,
Priority.
man.
You guys did it. That's awesome. They've got a wait list and everything. It's so cool to see. Shout out to like Game Night and what they're doing over there. Someone is going to take home a foil Judge promo Gaia's Cradle, and it will not be me. Yeah. And that is not the first time that has happened.
Shout out to just like big tournaments happening all the time now. Like,
it's so nice.
We're going to run out of foil Gaia's Cradles. Oh,
no, print more. Wait a minute. It's really, really awesome. I think one of the things that I love being one of the things that makes me love being a part of the cEDH community so much is that you see these like big tournaments like Fishbowl got announced, but also there is still tons of room for people to just get together at their local game shop, find someone who has been playing Magic for 40 years and it's like, yeah, sure, you can use this card as a prize, and then people will literally like fly out and flock to tournaments to play, especially at this time of the season. And so I think it just makes me think that our scene is like healthier than ever, that not only can we have like these like platinum diamond events, but we can also have gold and silver and bronze events just firing off. It feels like
all
every
the time.
weekend.
All the time. Yep. Speaking of another one.
Yeah. Summer Classic 2. Way to go. You guys also are sold out.
Sold out, raised the cap, and then sold out again.
Yeah. This is awesome. It's like they were already set to kind of like be breaking some records for tournaments in their location. And it's so cool to see that like even their own expectations of like, we think this is going to be really big. It was that much bigger. So not only shout out to the people who are like TOing and running it. I cannot wait to see the top 16 coming out of it. But also shout out to people who are going and attending to this tournament.
I think there's some big names going to that tournament too.
I know Comedian's going.
Yep.
And they've got some other people tagged on there. I just know we are still close enough to Mortal Kombat that I can remember. It feels like every day looking to like see how many people were attending, and I'm like, God, I hope this works.
Like, actually sweating bullets.
I am so scared that like I'm gonna invite everyone to my birthday party and no one's gonna show up. But then I remember walking in and you just see players and you see vendors and you're just there all day and you see people playing Magic and you're like, this is what it's about. Yep. So shout out to Summer Classic. I
hope you guys have a good time out there.
Yeah, it's the lot going on. Speaking of having a good time,
I didn't have a good time.
Speaking of tournaments, Austin, I love stories. Tell me a story of why I'm looking at this Magic card.
So we had our local on Saturday. I went and played Minstrel, and in round one, I lost to this Precon.
Yeah, and what's this Precon? It's the
Rashmi and Ragavan.
Oh, holy cow!
And we lost to just combat damage because that happens. And by the way, he was in seat 4 when he beat us like this. I don't really know what happened other than I sent it on Necro, died a valiant death because I was actually going to try to win the game. And then my 2 other opponents looked at their hands and they're looking at lands and counter spells and they're like, this does nothing to a 5/5.
It took a little bit for round 1 to get started out because I think it was a father and a son who both bought Precons downstairs, came upstairs, and they only had time to sleeve one of them, I think. And so I think, first off, I have nightmares about this happening.
Oh, dude, I can't believe Jordan was like, we're not going to ever talk about this. And I was like, I'm talking about this on the podcast, dude.
I always think to myself, like, have I just gotten like super lucky? And as soon as I play against like a real player, I'm just going to get my ass kicked. And I think that I would have those thoughts X times more if I lost to someone with a Precon. So that's one way to look at it, is like, wow, I'm so bad. But I think another way that I think would love to look at it, I think this is kind of the narrative that took place during the tournament, is like, what a cool way to showcase just how much is possible in cEDH.
Right.
Just to be clear, critical EDH viewers, potentially the critters, should we not get sued by Critical Role? I am not saying go play a Precon. What I am saying is, if you keep having thoughts of like, do I lose because I'm not playing, Blue Farm 24/7?
Right.
While potentially you do need to give Smothering Tithe a try, you also are playing in a format where there is room for creativity, brewing, and for the smallest window to still be big enough for you to make it to the finish line.
Sometimes combat damage just gets you there.
Sometimes it gets you there. Goto players, we know that you've been screaming at the top of your lungs, and we hear you.
This makes me think I should actually try to put together that Rakdos Goblin deck that's like Gut, Trulso, and Haunted one, and just try to combat damage people to death.
Dude, Bloody Noses are back in style in cEDH. Yeah, that was super funny.
Yeah.
But speaking of things that happened at level 7, in this upcoming Sunday, they have a last chance tournament at their new location in Inglewood.
Yeah.
So we know a lot of people who listen to us are from all over. But for the Denver locals, this is something that a lot of us are going to be going to. Super excited about. They have historically been playing tournaments on Saturday night at this new location. I think the game plan is to kind of be playing on Sunday nights as well. So if you are in the area and want to attend, definitely go for it. And if you recently posted on Twitter and have the last name Ohio about wanting to find places to play cEDH, maybe move to Denver.
Yeah, come to Denver. There's cEDH every night.
We could be talking about any wrong side player.
But I mean, yeah, if they do this like every month and then the EG tournament happens every other week and we have a big tournament every other week, that sounds awesome. Like,
I think that like cEDH is a scene hungry for competition, and so if you're in a place and you're like, I just don't know if there's a big enough scene to sustain like more than like once a quarter like tournament, hopefully I think Denver would be a good example of like cEDH kind of like it is almost like self-sustaining, because as people play more tournaments, they get more experience, they get more excited, and it's that much easier for them to say like, oh, I'm gonna drive up to like Fort Collins or down to the Springs.
Yep.
God, we are just a bunch of junkies, bro.
It's true, man.
I would inject it straight into our veins if we could.
The story is like, I just moved last weekend, and like the night before, I was like, I need to go play some cEDH.
Apparently, we are not alone because we recently crossed the 2,000 subscriber marker.
Crazy, man.
That
Thank you.
Thank you. I feel like we take time to say this all the time. Hopefully you guys aren't bored of hearing us say it, but thank you guys so much. Like we get the chance to do, we've got coaching sessions going up, gameplay. We keeping tabs is something we put up all the time, and the fact that we get to do so many different things, and not just that me and Austin or Logan and Jason, we all get to do it together, but the fact that we get to do it with you guys, I think is an insane pleasure. I think every day, whether I'm playing games with people in the league, which we'll talk about a little bit more, or like I'm seeing cards are released and I'm like, can't wait to talk about them on Tuesday. I just can't stop thinking about how like, everyone who's a part of the Critical Crew, we are like the luckiest guys.
It's all so awesome. And like now that like we're going out of town more, just like having people come up to us and be like, I like your content.
Yeah.
Like it feels good selfishly, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's just, I mean, it's all about you guys, right? Like it really is. It wouldn't be being done if it wasn't for that number.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And to me, it's an indication that like, we are like a part of something, and you are too. Me and you were talking about this beforehand, but I think that like we're in a pretty significant moment in cEDH where we're a few years past COVID, and so everyone who like picked up old interests when they were trapped inside their houses, and then now has either been like they finally took the step and they proxied that first list off of NPC autofill, or they finally listened to the person who is like, you always seem really angry when you play casual Magic, come on. Or whatever it is. And I think that when you attend tournaments, like Cradle to the Guild or Summer Classic, or Pool Priority, there's this sense that you're on the edge of something that's growing and building.
Absolutely. And it's so it's so tight knit, right? Like the cEDH community, everyone has just been so wonderful. Like I'm still very new to the community, and everyone's just been so nice and wonderful, and just like wants to pick your brain and wants to have open dialogue about this cool tech card they have, right? And like you just see these conversations happening in our Discord all the time.
Yeah.
In every Discord, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah. There's so many commander specific Discords. And then just like you said, whenever we go to tournaments, there's no shortage of people to talk to. And that for me, that was the case like before we even had the YouTube channel. That's one of the ways that like me and Logan first got to know each other, is that we just started playing with each other, and then we both like got this feeling that like we know that there's some tournaments that happen up north, like let's go like attend one, or like let's host one at like EG. And so I think Logan did a really good job carrying the torch, and so this is still very much a community that is ready for like advocates in your local area. I know we talk about this all the time, but if you are like in a place where you feel like there's not much of like a cEDH scene, I guarantee that if you can talk to a game store and you can say, like, hey, even if it's just like store credit, charge everyone $10, keep 25% of it yourself, and then put 75% out as prizing, and you post on Facebook or hit up Twitter, I guarantee you there are people who will drive hours to come out.
And absolutely, I mean, game stores want that to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you're the TO and you're organizing this, like, and you're trying to throw it, and the game store is just kind of the space, they're like, wait, you're gonna put 24 people in here for 10 hours?
Like, you're gonna bring adults with money here?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, please do that. That's all I want in life is to you bring 20 people in here. Right?
So in the same way that it's been a huge pleasure and a privilege to be a part of the cEDH scene as it grows and picks up momentum, it has also been a huge privilege to be a part of a channel where that's the case as well. And that is exclusively because of you guys. So if you're watching, if you're listening, thank you. Track down the Twitter post that we have pulled up, because there is a giveaway that we're doing that you can enter
in the Discord.
Yeah.
There will be like a little link that you just click join. And
you've clicked on links before. Now what we've got pulled up is the biblically accurate ROG side. And I know what you're thinking, Eric, if it were actually biblically accurate, there'd be like way more eyeballs. Well, that's what you're here for. Look at it. Look at this list.
You should look at this list. It's a very interesting list. Logan put it together with a little bit of help, I'm sure, from other people, but it's a wrong side list, but not all the way wrong anymore.
Yeah, this is probably closer to like right side.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
It's been listening to some, it's been going down a hole on YouTube, and it's got a lot of ideas to tell its friends, which includes a lot of like the dual caster lines. And then also, I don't know if I've ever seen, I've seen Logan put together lists with Bolus's Citadel, but I don't know if I've ever seen him play one. Actually,
also shout out Mayhem Devil on this list. Dude, I love that card so much. I think
Mayhem Devil is so much fun. It reminds me so much of the Dockside days, when people would be like creating like 30 treasures. and then you just like cheat that bad boy in with like a Chord of Calling, and that's
Yep.
yeah.
But it's on Nas, it's on Necro, so it is trying to go fast, or it wants the option to go fast, right?
Yeah.
But it's still on the Mirror Maid, and it's still on a few of the other things that can still just be part of the grind plan.
Yeah, and I know what you guys are saying. Do it. Take the plunge. Put Necro Dominance in.
Don't do that.
No. Maybe it's because you're a braver brewer than we are. Maybe it's because you know something that we don't. However, what we know is that necromancy lets you do some crazy stuff.
It lets you do things at instant speed that shouldn't be done.
Yeah.
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 I do like it being an instant speed Thoracle out of someone else's graveyard that got counterspelled or killed somehow.
Anyways, I think that like boy, do we love us. Oh yeah, put the yeah. Yo, a devil indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
For those listening, Logan in the producer chair just changed the card art to be the Uwu Mayhem Devil.
But please go check out this list.
Yeah.
Logan's been working on it a lot, and he fully believes in it. And it's nice to have Rogsai and Rogsai coinciding, because then people just don't know what to mulligan for. Yeah,
gotta keep them on their toes. Yeah, it's like the devil and the angel on your shoulder. But which is which? I don't know. Both of them are anime. Hang on. Let me pull this up. We are now to what is still to date like one of my favorite segments. Whenever we're putting this set list together, I love getting to read through the comments. This one is by the Roadside Photographer, and it was generated by me and Logan's conversation last week about the difference between cEDH and tEDH and the tension that can oftentimes develop when we're not clear about which one we're playing.
Interesting.
So the Roadside Photographer says, as a new player, I've definitely had both experiences of warm, welcoming, helpful for cEDH in the North Colorado stores, as well as that toxic, must-win tEDH vibe that, as stated, made me go, well, I don't even want to play cEDH anymore. Promoting that pre-game discussion of casual vibes or tournament prep games, I think, is an excellent addition. One of the things I like about this is it reminds me of the Playing with Power podcast, which is both those play spaces are important, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like casual cEDH just lets you hang out and have fun, and it lets you play a deck you've never played before against people you've never played before,
and it lets you play some fringe stuff too, right? Like you get to play Master of Keys,
stuff that should never see the light of day. No, I'm kidding. I love that deck. As long as you've got dress down and it's not on my turn. But also they talk about the relevance of like tEDH, like we were just talking about how much we love going to tournaments and things like that. But when we sometimes get those wires crossed, at the beginning of the game, we're like, I'm going to play Esper Sentinel. No, I'm going to play Ignoble Hierarch. No, I'm going to fetch for a different land. I'll pass the turn. And then 15, 20 minutes later, someone forgets to pay for their fish, and you go,
that's in the graveyard now, friend.
Mistrigger.
Yeah.
There's an understandable level of dissonance that people may feel. They're like, where did those fun times go? I was having so much fun then, and now I'm not having any fun because I don't have a fish.
So yeah, I mean, like, I guess how do you balance this?
One, I think I had to accept that there were many situations where I thought I was in the right and I was in the wrong. Where like just like for fun games, people would be like, well, I guess I have to counter this. And we were playing for fun, laughing, joking. And without realizing it, because I really wanted to win, I had taken steps closer and closer into that tEDH game space.
For sure.
And then I start politicking like I'm on like a winning in, or using like a level of like, I don't want to say like aggressiveness, but like I feel like a sense of tension.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this has to go through. You have to. Don't silence me. Don't silence. I will not be silenced. And then talking with friends afterwards, I was like, man, I can't believe they silenced me. And everyone else is like, wow, I can't believe you were that intense about it. And I think that's what happens when like I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get better. And sometimes you just get caught up in the game. And I think that's one thing that I find myself thinking is that like when people say, thanks for playing, guys. I think I'm gonna head home like a little early. that like those are like context clues that like somewhere along the line I was like taking actions or presenting myself in a way that may not have been like aggressive or bullying, but may have moved us from cEDH into tEDH in a potentially like hostile way, in a more positive way. Something that I've really experienced and really enjoyed is that like all the time I'll sit down and people say, hey, you know, are you going to the level 7 tournament this Sunday? I am, and I really want to practice, you know, this like new list. I just put like Kefka together, or I just got Titus, I guess. I don't know, some other Final Fantasy commander. And so like if you guys are okay with it, let's get a timer out. Or like something goes on the stack and then everyone goes, Jay, which is equivalent to calling for a judge in Littleton. Right. And then you get to have these experiences in a more casual way, but that are still kind of in the direction of like tournaments. Right.
It's a really interesting balancing act because like we even catch ourselves on Wednesday nights. Sometimes we'll draw games, and it's like that shouldn't happen in cEDH games, right?
I think a month ago we were just playing for fun, and we drew 3 games in a row.
Yeah, and it's like that shouldn't happen. Like just let someone win, man. Like it's fine.
But I think it's a great example that like as cEDH communities continue to like mature, the level of competition that a local play group is able to sustain is going to increase, which is good and awesome.
Yep.
But also always pushing to play at the highest level isn't always the most welcoming to new players. And
Correct.
So in the same way that like I am trying to be the best possible tournament grinder that I could be, I also want to take as many people along for that ride as I can. And so
what's really interesting, what's really interesting in kind of to like pivot off of that, not off of that completely, but like I think we're really good at taking a brand new player from cEDH into like our play group, being like, please just like open your hand. We can talk you through the lines, like, and we can really help them through from getting to a brand new player into a cEDH player. But I don't know if we're the best at developing a cEDH player into a tEDH player.
That is a really good distinction. Yeah, I think that. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I want to think about that a little bit because I think that you're really onto something. Because I've seen dozens, if not like hundreds of times, someone would be like, "It's my first night here. I just moved to the area. I used to play with like a casual group, but I've been really interested in cEDH, so I brought this like silver deck."
Yeah.
And everyone almost immediately is like, "You should borrow one." And they're like, well, "But I have Blasphemous Act and Supreme Verdict," and you're like, "Okay, that confirms it. Yeah, you definitely need to borrow one."
Here's Blue Farm.
And you're right. I think especially when someone's in their first kind of like 5 or 10 games, I think that. And not just here, but also like when I've been to other tournaments and it's like people are like, this is my first tournament. I think people are very well conditioned to like kind of like automatically take it a step down. But yeah, now that you bring it up, it's like once someone's been playing for a month, I think that's a very like common place to like start running into like roadblocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that like I would be interested. Have you ever had any moments as like a cEDH player in like a tournament or otherwise where you had like a really negative experience? Maybe it was social, maybe it was like gameplay, but you walked away from it and you're like, man, maybe this just like isn't the format for me.
Interesting. I actually think my first tournament was very rough. I actually played against both of you guys in my first tournament.
My condolences. Yeah, I think I was on Lumra.
You were on Lumra. Actually, the game that we had together was a pretty negative experience for me.
Whoa. Tell me about it. I want to hear.
I mean, realistically, it was just I was probably shouldn't have been playing in a tournament. I had played cEDH maybe 7 games. And I was like, I'm a good enough Magic player. I'll just play. Like, it's fine. And we got put into a pot of 3.
Yeah, it was a 3-pod.
And I'm staring at my deck, and I'm like, I don't think my deck is good in this pod at all. Najila was our other opponent. Yeah. And they're like, I don't know if I can win in this pod.
It was a seat 1 Najila.
Yeah.
You in your first cEDH tournament. And then me on Lumra trying to politic all the information I gave Najila to you.
Absolutely.
And I was like, you gotta do something on stage.
Yeah. And you just like took our lunch money. And I was like, it's whatever. Like, I didn't expect to do well in this tournament. But I think like that whole experience, like in that first tournament, first of all, I was not prepared for it. had no preconceived notions of what that tournament would look like. And I was just completely overwhelmed, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
Because I think even about like that tournament, when they were like making announcements, there were some issues with the mic.
Yeah.
And so like you're in the scene where like the judges are like, here's everything you need to do. Just listen to these 3 things. And then also like it was a big enough tournament that like I think most of the bigger players came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so not only are you playing against people who they're like, oh, we're in the neighborhood, so it's just like me and my kid playing. You're also playing against like people who have taken down some of the biggest tournaments in the cEDH world.
It was a charity event. Yeah. I think we drew. That was when you tried to convince me to let a Wheel of Fortune and a Waste Not happen, and I was like, no shot, dude. I was like, I know I'm not good at this format. I'm not letting you have a Waste Not.
There's no way. It's the I think in our game it was the Nagil player who I think on turn 3 had flashed a Breach Brain Freeze LED in hand. And so I was trying to cast Lumra, and you were like, am I supposed to counter this? And I was like, first off, yes. Second off, you also have to counter what comes next.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this person's like bled so many cards to me, and I was like, wait, that's something I have to deal with?
Yeah. The guy next to me was like, how did you know? As he's pulling his cards out here. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I hate doing this, but you do have all 3 pieces of the best combo you have in hand. And so, given that it's a new player, I have to tell them, you need to counter the spell that I'm casting and the next one. Do you have both? No, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you're like, okay, sorry. Just this one's going through then.
Yeah. And then we both lost, and then it was
no. You definitely won that game.
No. I went 0-5 that
Wait,
day.
really?
Yeah. I know that I put off so much aura that it felt as if I was winning. The sheer amount of Riz I put off could only come from a victor, surely. But no, that was a day of devastating defeat for me.
Wait, I did decent in that tournament, which is crazy.
That was actually, kind of jumping off of that. That tournament was actually a really rough one for me because I went 0-5 at that tournament, and that was after a tournament that I took Lumra to top 16 and then got absolutely like blown out in top 4, kind of notoriously. It was a week right before kind of a big scandal in our scene. I was in seat 4. I had to mulligan down to 4. I literally just kept a land, Force of Vigor, and then something I could pitch to it. And then I was just like the entire game, I felt like I was behind, and then I lost, and I was like, wow, I thought I was getting better. I thought I like reached this like new threshold, and then as soon as I make like top 16, I get fucking murked, bro. And so then the kind of scandal happens, some which kind of like put some of my losses under like scrutiny. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I just got unlucky. Maybe I do have what it takes. Maybe I just got unlucky. I'm gonna go to this charity tournament, and I'm just gonna,
we'll run it back.
We'll just see how it goes. 0-5. And so, not to say that it was like a crisis of faith, but I think it was definitely one of my first like big losing streaks. Now, to be clear, I started cEDH on an insane losing streak. If you go to my top deck page, I don't think I got a win in my first 5 tournaments. I think I lost every single game.
Okay.
And so I went from that to like I started playing Lumra and Nadu around the same time. So I'm both playing this like insanely busted deck, Nadu, that like literally got banned, as well as this kind of like off-axis, very different, like huge Brewers Advantage list. So I start like doing well, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'm the guy who is like able to like I can live in both worlds. I can play the super French stuff, and I can play the super popular stuff. I can be great at both.
Okay.
And then I just get bodied like back to back. And I think my negative experience was like, maybe I'm just not built to win. Maybe I'm the loser. People are like, oh, there's winners, and then there's Eric, the loser.
Wow.
It was really, really difficult. And I
That's
think
really hard.
we had Jay on the episode once, and he talked about a losing streak. I think it's something that happens to cEDH players a lot more than we
absolutely.
talk about.
Yeah.
It's the like basically the only thing that kept me going to tEDH on Saturdays and stuff was the cEDH on Wednesdays.
Interesting.
Right, because I've got these friends, I want to hang out with them, and you can play the randomest stuff, and even if you lose, you're just playing.
You're just having a good time. Right?
And then at some point, like, growing is just about getting reps in, and you can keep showing up, and I wouldn't think that there's anything prodigious or like talented about the way I play cEDH. I think I was just straight up privileged enough to be surrounded by people I loved playing with, who were able to help me grow and get better. For instance, Logan did great at the charity tournament, and so he came out of it and he was like, I think like I think I need to stop playing like funny haha decks and start playing like funny. Yeah. And it's out of that I picked up kind of like the Opus Thief rock side that we were both playing, and then I went from that after kind of getting to like brew and play that with Logan onto playing Blue Farm, where I then was first seed at the Enchanted Grounds tournament, and then was able to make top 16 on Snowy Summit. So like my highest high was followed by one of my lowest lows.
Interesting.
And so I think that while that is narrative wise like pretty interesting, kind of like it's always darkest before the dawn. If you had told me at the end of that charity tournament, hang in there, Eric, you're about to go on a sick run, and I'm like, cool, future me is probably going to be really stoked about that. Present me needs a beer.
I think what's really interesting about like your comment just now was that the community around you is like what kind of kept your head up, right? Especially when you're playing a fringe list. Being able to play against very high quality players at a very a lot of times, right? Like you get to take games off of those players with your fringe lists.
Yeah.
And so you're like, oh, like I'm still fine.
Yeah.
Like it makes it so that you can still keep your head up and keep grinding, right? Because if you like were in that slump and then didn't have that community around you.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're maybe not in the format anymore.
Yeah, just straight up,
right?
like, don't
You're
come
just
back.
like, nah, it's okay. Not the format for me, right?
Yeah, I drove an hour away from home, spent $95 to have a terrible time.
Which that exact thing happens to 60 card players all the time.
All the time.
All the time, right? And that's like the benefit of our format and the benefit of Denver community specifically is like we have, first of all, insane players here that we will snag some games off of. And that community like will keep your head up so much and so well.
Yeah, I think that like it's so cool to me that like we both had like kind of like a down in the dumps moment, but like literally here we are like a little not quite, but almost, I think, like, was that like basically a year ago?
It was after the bans.
Okay,
So probably about 9 months ago.
Okay. Yeah, like not that long, and I think we would both say that we're having some of the most fun in cEDH that we've ever had.
I'm having a blast. I'm having a blast with this format.
Yeah,
now.
and the crazy thing is, I feel like while my win rate has, I think, definitely improved, I feel like a lot of the people I play with have also gotten really good, and so I just love the fact that I feel like everyone in the scene is improving and growing. But yeah, kind of. I'm sure that a lot of you listening can probably very much sympathize with this comment of having had really positive and really, really negative experiences, oftentimes with the same group of people in the same physical space.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So one thing I would take away from this is the importance not only of like perspective. I think cEDH, if you're interested in tournament grinding, you're playing a long game, not just like, you know, an hour and a half plus overtime long game, but also like you're gonna bomb out of tournaments and then you're gonna skyrocket in top 16. And you're gonna be playing basically the same way in exact in both tournaments. You just got unlucky, but also the importance of like having that support system. I know for us, even like before the round starts, I'm always trying to like make eye contact with the people I know, chat them up, see how their day's going, what deck they're playing. And then I think one of my favorite parts about tournaments is in between games, it feels like everyone kind of like is always forming and breaking up and forming and breaking up these like 3 or 4 person groups. Like, you know, how is your game going? I heard Austin lost to a Precon. Austin comes in, guys, you would not believe the deck I lost to.
I come downstairs. I've never been more depressed in my life.
You were so sad. That's like, we're laughing about it now, but like it was like you could taste it on the air.
I was in a dark place.
Yeah, but you know, it like all like, you know, 5 or 6 of us were just like chatting our rounds when you were talking about it, and everyone was like, wow, that's crazy. Like and then, you know, by the end of the evening, you know, we were all kind of like back in that kind of like good space, even though like none of us made like top 16.
Nope.
We all played Magic. We had a fun time. You know, we got the Magic side, we got the Gathering side, and so I think there's both ways that we as individuals can help adopt responsibility, you know, with clear communication and context to help prevent this kind of like mix match wires cross situations, but also ways that like if you have friends who are playing in a tournament or you yourself are playing in a tournament, try to get connected with people, because
absolutely.
You're going to get the highs, you're going to get the lows. You need to have someone with you while you're there. Speaking of having some people alongside us, some other people who recently hit the 2K mark and who are, you know, we're if you're a part of their Patreon, you're also part of our league this month. That's a good card.
Congrats, Kyle. Yeah,
dude, huge shout out to them. Every time we talk to them, they are just the wind beneath my wings. They are awesome people, and they got to talk about a card that is it awesome? Lim-Dul's Vault. What do you think about it, Austin?
I haven't heard this episode yet, but I enjoy this card a lot.
Yeah?
I used to play Glarb, and this card is insane in that deck. Like, actually insane in that deck.
I bet.
But I mean, I think I'm, like, high on this card in general.
It's, so they actually had Max P on this episode as well. Fantastic to listen to. He's usually part of the Win and In podcast, which may make an appearance in this episode later. But he was on this episode of That's a Good Card with Yaw and them, and he was on the essentially like the advocate side of like, you should play this card. And he mentioned a lot of things that were really, really interesting. I think he is somewhat best known for his TNT list. I think what I love about TNT is it's such a flexible pair of commanders. I think that no TNT list is really built the same. I don't think there's really like a standard TNT list.
Oh, I think there's like a weird fringe TNT list that's on the wings right now.
Really? What?
That's playing like the Rogthras, like Breeze Caller style TNT with like Charismatic Conquer. To like make creatures and stuff.
Are they doing Breeze Caller with that new blue land?
I don't think so. But I think I heard Steel Dragon kind of pushing that list ahead.
Get the Peregrine Drake in there. Takes me back to my Emery days.
But yeah, speaking of Lim-Dul's Vault, I don't know if we can read the card because there's 3 paragraphs of words on it.
As Max P says in the episode, it is a book.
Yes.
So if you're a fan of novels, you may also be a fan of this card because it is kind of a tutor, but Max P makes the argument that it is a modal spell in the sense that it can both function as this kind of like grim tutor, vampiric tutor, right? Where you're essentially paying a ton of life to put one specific card on top.
Yeah.
Or it can be just kind of like a chill like brainstorm effect. Where you're in the middle of like a counterspell war, you've got more mana than you do cards, and you just want to make sure that like if you only get one draw or you only have one like Thrasio spin, you want to make sure that you are getting the right card.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that the reason why this card's like not played, again, I haven't heard the episode, but the resolution of this card takes a while sometimes.
Yeah,
and that is the downside, right? But I regardless, I think this card is very good. It is a second vamp tutor if you absolutely need that effect. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good card.
I think people also get a little scared by the life side of it.
Who cares about that stuff?
Use it or lose it.
Yeah. It's a resource.
No, I think that I think this is probably one of the most 101st cards to like ever exist. I think.
Yeah.
I think in so many decks that I've put this in, I've cut it just for like one extra rock,
sure,
or something like that. I think this is a card that I don't put in decks much because I haven't played it much.
Interesting.
And I wonder if it's got kind of that like malevolent rumble thing going on, where as soon as I resolve it once, I'm going to be like,
you're like, yep, that makes sense.
I'm going to put it in more lists.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. It does, having seen it resolve, it does take forever. And I've seen a couple situations where someone pushes past one of their 5-card piles. Sorry. The card is you look at 5 cards at a time. If you don't like it, you can pay 1 life, put those cards on the bottom of your library, and then get a new 5 off the top. And then whenever you decide to stop, you can put that 5 in whatever order you want. I believe. So let's say that like someone like sees like LED in 5, and they're like, they have to shuffle on them. Okay. So they're not ordered. Get note from the producer's chair. It's not like Proteus staff where you can put them in any order you want. They do get shuffled when they go in the bottom. But let's say you see an LED early on. You're like, I don't have like a breach. I'm gonna like push past it. You see the breach and you're like, but I don't have like the mana to cast it. You push it past, and then you start seeing like all these cards and all these like halves of combos, and then now you've paid 15 life. You've seen all the cards in your library, and you're like, honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. There's definitely some like analysis paralysis with this card.
It's so crazy. And so I think that like this reminds me a little bit of Necropotence, where I think this is a card that rises to the quality of the player playing it.
Sure. Yeah. I could see the comparison there.
in that, like, I think it's very powerful. It gives you a lot of information, a lot that you need to do. But if you got a solid game plan and a solid set of fundamentals, you can probably like use this card to like roundhouse kick people left and right in Swiss.
Like I said, in Glarb, it's one of the best cards in the deck.
Unfortunately, as a bad player, useless to me. Cut it. Get it out of here.
Cut it now.
But like we said, Max P is part of the Win and In podcast. Oftentimes you have Hire stopping by. I love listening to it. I think that like listening to Hire always scratches my itch for like those super deep Scryfall searches. Like I feel like he's always bringing up cards
like Necrologia.
Dude, yeah.
It's so cool. So cool.
Another card I've never cast.
Me neither. I didn't know that card existed until Hire said something about it.
I know. Everyone always looks at me and they're like, "Oh, that's the Necrologia guy." And I know I get it a lot, but no, that's Hire actually.
But yeah, I think that if you're looking for like more cEDH content, check these episodes out. They usually start the episodes off with some like nice whiskey, which I'm a big fan of. They usually started off with that, and they pop that cork, and
heck yeah,
that ASMR feels so good. And then they just they chat about cEDH and what they've been up to. This episode was pretty good. They talked about Shadow, so some of the new Sonic cards.
Yeah, what do you think? What do you think of Shadow? Look, you can be honest with me. I know you think Eric, he cares about Shadow so much. I have to temper what I say, and I say to that, no, Austin, no. I can take it. Tell me what you think.
Okay, so immediately when I read this card, I was like, oh, this card's insane.
Correct.
Because Shadow just lets you have split second stuff, right? So if you use artifact mana and Shadow's out, then your cards that you cast with that artifact mana is split second. There's some minor card advantage on the card as well.
I think if Shadow or any other creature with haste or flash, which you see a ton of in Rakdos, obviously. I believe
you get OBM, Oppo.
It has to be sacrificed. It can't die. But if a creature you control with haste or flash is sacrificed,
I think it dies. Yeah.
Oh, praise God. Okay. Yeah. I was almost worried it'd be a bad card. All right, continue with what you were saying, Austin.
Okay, I read this card and thought it was insane, and then again, you really think about it, right?
I'm thinking.
It's so hard to get this card to work how you want it to work. Because immediately you're like, all right, this is a breach deck, right? Yeah. And then you realize that you're not casting LED with artifacts, man. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe it's not a breach deck.
Yeah, okay, well, now I have to play Trinisphere so that I can so I can cast LED with artifact mana.
So I think what they mentioned in this episode, and I kind of like this train of thought, is maybe a Reanimator deck.
Ooh.
Which is interesting, right? If you cast a Animate Dead targeting Villis with artifact mana, making that split second is interesting, right?
Yeah,
like that might get there.
Yeah.
What my thought process is if you could use like a Phyrexian Altar and do the zombie loop.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And like, because Phyrexian Altar is artifact mana.
It is artifact mana.
So like, you would just need a payoff. Like maybe that's how I would go around with this deck. But in reality, I think that we are some enabler of OBM killing itself over and over again to keep drawing you cards. I don't know what that card looks like, but I think this card could be good in the future.
All the words on the card are good enough that makes me think surely this card has got to be good. I don't know. It's I'm actually in the Shadow Discord right now. Gamer Sonic, me, Snowball, and Cousin Two Chains have been putting stuff together. Cousin Two Chains pointed out that you can use artifact lands, which I think is crazy.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
you know what else I think would be a huge boon to this card would be a reoccurring Nightmare.
Oh,
if that card ever gets unbanned, I think this deck could be real.
Yeah, man, dude, bring back. If it's never, man, fuck. Imagine if we still had
Dockside Chthonian loops would just be so gas.
Yeah, I think as opposed to any when I put this list together, instead of going for like any like crazy combos, my mind was like, oh, what if I just like tap Arcane Signet to cast Ad Naz? Is that good enough?
Yes.
That's my train of thought. Is like, what if I no longer have to worry about my Peer into the Abyss getting like deswatted?
Or Necrologia, right? Like Necrologia also
for sure.
works, right? Like,
of course. Oh, then I can't Flare dupe it. But I think if
I mean, you could. You just have to actually pay the mana for it.
I think if this deck does well in the zone, if Shadow does well in the zone, I think it'll be because you're just doing normal Rakdos stuff, but it's harder to interact with.
Yeah.
I do think this card is. I think it will see Delny levels of play in the 99. I
think people will test it in the 99. I don't think it survives in the 99.
You don't think it survives in the 99?
No. I don't think so. The other thing they brought up was maybe in a Thrasios Vial Smasher. So you could Neoform Vial into
hot.
it, then maybe it can get there. But I don't see it in the 99.
Do you think Sisay plays it? Is there a world where Sisay?
No.
There's
It's too expensive.
There's no
man.
weird Sisay loops.
It's I just don't see it. And Sisay already works on a weird access.
But Sisay casts so many spells.
Yeah, exactly.
Every
you
time
just don't need it. Don't.
Every time I play against the Sisay, I'm like, my counter spells are so useful right now. I know one thing. I didn't get the chance to listen to this yet, but one thing that you were talking about that made me want to listen to it is I think Hire and Maxby are both kind of some of the veterans of the format. They've been around in a while. So they were talking about some of the challenges of West Coast tournaments, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, they're talking about Fishbowl 6, which is coming up in October, late October, and Hire's the TO for that. And they were talking about the price point for Fishbowl, which is a little bit higher than usual. And basically, it is just because California venues are so expensive. And so they're just talking about kind of the challenges about that. And I know that in some of the Twitter space that I've been reading, a lot of the top deck concerns are that there's not enough tournaments on the West Coast. And it is because of these challenges of logistical challenges of running a tournament for 2 days in a venue. And how do you pay for it? Right? Yeah. And what the benefit of those are, because there's some killers in the West Coast, right? But how does that work? And they kind of discuss it a little bit. They hint at it about how problematic it is, and some of the challenges that they've faced at Fishbowl 5 with a lot of the overtime. Yeah, the overtime problems that we were all talked about.
Yeah, that was brutal.
It was brutal day one. I think every game had a game that went over in 40-ish, 50 minutes.
Yeah, and then I think it was game 5 on day 2 was or was it game 4?
I'm not sure. It was bad.
One of them was insane. Me and Logan brought the equipment down because oh, maybe we'll get some interviews in. And then boy, did we have time to get interviews in. But it was fascinating to me because that's one of those problems where as a player you're wow, this is so bad right now. I'm having a bad time right now. But as a TO, you're this time is coming directly out of the top 4 match.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so they're talking about how they're going to try to they're floating out ideas of having time top 4 and time finals, which I think we all agree with. That's how we ran Combat. Or maybe if they want untimed, they have to all agree to it as a pod. But then if it goes overtime, then they're getting charged by the hour for the venue, so it's getting taken out of the prize pool, which is a very interesting prospect.
Yeah,
but I guess giving that idea up to the players, that selection up to the players is maybe a good idea.
It's got me excited that Hire, I think, is one of the people having this conversation. Because, for instance, a lot of decisions we made at Mortal Kombat, I think were decisions that a lot of TOs have of right, you've got all these logistical stuff coming in, and then someone from the venue comes over and they're hey, let's talk some details. And you're wow, we have the venue for extra time, and they're no.
They're actually cut an hour out of the time you had planned.
Yeah, and I think it is not uncommon for top 16 and top 4 to experience some undue or unexpected time pressure.
Yeah.
And I know I definitely felt for the players at Mortal Kombat. I think we made the best decisions we could, but if I were in top 4, I know I definitely would have wished. I think everyone wants to just have more time, be able to go to a bathroom break or eat some food or get your stretch instead of going straight from top 16 to top 4. So I definitely have sympathy for that, but also I can definitely see where they're coming from, of where you only can have so much space, And in an ideal world, we'd have enough time for everyone to play all their pods to their natural conclusion.
Yep.
But that's just not possible. And so one of the things that I took away from the conversation that I got to have with Hire is that player experience is one of his number one priorities. As a TO, he is extremely focused on how people feel going into the tournament, while they're there, and walking away from it. And so I think I'm really excited and looking forward to see how Fishbowl kind of adapts and morphs around these challenges that our format is facing, because I think they have a really good opportunity to kind of set the pace for a lot of tournaments that happen after the fact.
Yep. I'm also excited to go. I'm for sure going to that.
It's so cool. It was so much fun to go last time. It was incredible. And then hopefully we can get SonicCon happening again. Boy, was it sweaty in there.
I missed out on it the first time.
It was tons and tons and tons of fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's the always love the stuff that they put out.
But yeah, go check out this episode. Wait, what? Oh yeah, they also did talk about Wrongsai.
Oh yeah.
Hire's been playing Wrongsai, or his version of Wrongsai, with like Citadel. It's closer to Ty's version of Wrongsai than Logan's. But he is saying he had only amazing things to say about it. He's like, dude, this deck feels broken, like actually broken, which I think is really cool. I think it's like cool that it's seeing play on every coast now.
Nice. Yeah. Dude, I want more people to play Bolus's Citadel so that I can hit it with my Phyrexian Metamorph. I want to pay,
same.
I want to pay life to put that that Nyx Bloom Ancient out on Kinnan. I want to watch the life drain from your eyes as it goes down on the life counter as I put that fucking enchantment creature out. I want to see more Bolus's Citadel in games.
Yeah,
I want to see more Divining
It's such
Cobs.
a cool card. I mean, I know Ian's like a huge fan of Citadel.
It definitely, I think, is kind of like during the time that we've played CDH, Bolus's Citadel hasn't been like the card to play.
Yeah,
like it's definitely been playable and it's been good, but there were eras of CDH, of yesteryear, where like all you're trying to do is get that Bolus's Citadel as quickly as possible. And so I am really interested to see what it would look like for that to maybe be the case again. All I know is I haven't seen an Aetherflux Reservoir in months.
I died to one at Fishbowl.
What?
Against a Boros deck.
What?
I was like, what? Yeah, like I was the one player that he picked to kill. This is insane.
Yeah.
But actually, now that I think about it, is there any player in Denver playing Citadel? I don't think I've seen it.
Not that it's resolved. I think we've got a Kalia player.
Justin?
Who is on it. But I don't know if I've ever seen them resolve it. And I think they play a lot of Blue Farm now.
Okay.
I think I remember, didn't Min, when he was playing Atali, flip into someone else's Aetherflux?
He flipped into the Aetherflux, but not the Citadel.
Okay.
He flipped into Aetherflux and then kept Atali flipping.
That's crazy.
To keep casting more spells to get to 150 life and killed us all.
That's wild.
Yeah, it was insane.
Dude, Treasonous Ogres never look so good. Yeah, I was in that game. I just remember hearing from like the back row, he flipped what?
Yeah, he flipped a Crix Aetherflux Reservoir. Yeah, it was pretty gas.
That could be you.
Yeah.
That could be you.
I think Pigeon was in that game, and we're like, what do you do?
It's really interesting. I think this is actually a relatively apt Reddit post. We're moving to our Reddit post section, where we consume content by people who potentially did not make it to be read out loud on a YouTube channel. But here it is.
Is this? Yeah, okay. So this is the Reddit post. Basically just the title. How long did you suck at cEDH for when you first started? And then it kind of goes into it being like, hey, I'm a week into the format, but how long did it take for you to stop punting games to experienced players?
Oh boy, definitely longer than a week.
I think I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, you punted to me on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
That's not true. You had a window. You were supposed to go for it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Realistically, I'm still learning to not do this, right?
Yeah.
especially with so many draw engines in play in Denver, like you just don't know when you're punting sometimes. And you think your window's wide open, and then you start drawing some people cards, and now your window is their window.
Yeah. Oh my word. Oh my word. Something that I think is difficult about growing in cEDH is the duality of maturity, which manifests itself in that like you are always getting better and improving. But in the same way that your best game is always ahead of you, you always have the capacity to like just absolutely like crash out.
Oh, absolutely.
There are so many influences. You could be C4. You know, you could anything. You know, someone could just absolutely like throw the game, and you just not know how to like pivot in response. Someone could just like be communicating in ways that like you're not able to follow. Like we all have the capacity to play like absolute hooligans.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that means that even when your stack discipline is better than ever, you know, and you're just flying through these lines and you're doing really, really good, like, and you can think to yourself like, wow, I've made it. I've done it. I'm the perfect player. They said it couldn't be done, but I did it.
And then you go 0-5 in a chariot event.
And then you actually start playing, and then you lose to a deck that you've never seen that shouldn't be allowed to win because you're on the deck that you fine tuned super well. But here you are, and then you know you're one game later, and you're like, look, I just got to put that game behind me, and I just have to like play my best. And then you blink, and the game's over because someone just resolved like a Thassa's like crazy fast.
Right.
And then now suddenly, like, even though you've put all this work into growing,
you just start questioning everything.
Yeah. Maybe I still am that like that player that like can be like convinced to not counter an underworld breach.
Yeah. So I think a good way to like attack this kind of question is just like, what kind of level up moments did you have?
Ooh.
Like when like there I know of like certain things in my cEDH career where I was like, oh, I'm never making that mistake again, right? And like, there's got to be some type of level up moments that you can think of that you're like, okay, I've reached from level 0 cEDH player a week in to level 1, right? Like for example, I have playing with Jason, you kind of get some tidbits of information every once in a while.
Yeah.
And I think like one of the biggest level up moments that I had was just, hey, it's not your job. Like, it's not your job to deal with this.
Yeah.
Like me and you, we can just sit here and relax because they both have draw engines. They're each other's problems.
Yeah.
And like letting people get to until the win is on the stack.
Yeah.
It is not my problem.
Yeah.
And even sometimes pass.
Even then.
Even sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it's still not my problem. Pass.
No, it's fascinating to me. Yeah, I think I remember having a moment like that where like these two players with like 30 cards in hand are like duking it out, and I'm just sitting there with like my one mind break trap asking like, what's the storm count? I'm like, when's my moment? When's my moment? When's my moment? And then realizing like I cannot hold back the tide of these two players.
Yeah, absolutely not.
It is not my responsibility to like I need to reevaluate what my role in this game is, and having the realization that I am supposed to play in profoundly different ways at all different points of the cEDH game, I think was one of those things that like weirdly like helped me mulligan a lot better.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
having been in that late game situation where I'm like, I'm fucking useless. I really wish I had access to like mana right now. And you start working backwards and like, well, in order to have mana, I need to be able to like
get my Rhystic study.
I need to get my Rhystic study out. And a lot of things are going to come back to getting your Rhystic study out. I think you'll find that as a player. But as you have these like negative experiences, if you dedicate yourself to like finding what there is to learn in it, and recognizing that like one of the reasons it's profoundly negative is because it's a very like important moment. You had this expectation that something was going to happen, and then it just didn't.
Right.
You guessed wrong. You gambled and you lost the odds, and now you're on the other side of it. And you know, your underworld breach is like exiled or whatever random thing happened that you now feel really bad about. The reason it's such like an emotionally potent moment is because something important just happened, and you can let it become that negative experience that you're gonna, you know, always think back to of like, you know, this is why I never, you know, play cEDH again. Or you can dedicate yourself, and I think I really appreciate that this question asker is like, how do you know when you get better? You get better when you stop and you say, okay, what do I need to do differently so that doesn't happen again?
So I think what's really interesting with that is that like, I'm a very critical player of my own play, and like every single time that I lose a game, I'm like, okay, there's got to be a line for me to not lose that game, and most of the time there is, right? What I've realized also in that like line of thinking is sometimes I was reaching the decision that was made to counter something when I shouldn't have countered something, right? But realistically, I've started thinking of like, what was the process? Like, what was my decision-making process to make that decision? And that's what I really need to work on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That kind of like metacognition of like thinking about how you're thinking.
Right.
And so I think that like, how do you how long do you have to like suck before you can get better? I mean, how many steps back do you have to take before you're able to get an appropriate perspective on the situation you're in? I think that like, just like you said, there's some, I think, traditional like level up moments. I think that like your first like huge counterspell battle, the first time you try to cast a sorcery speed spell at instant speed, that's you're like, oh, I can do that. The first time that like
the first time you let a silence resolve and you're like,
boy.
oh wait,
that's okay. I can still,
oh wait,
I don't have to worry about Grin to Ball Strike and still activate my enchantments. Sometimes they'll be positive, sometimes they'll be negative. There's not going to be any big I made it moment. I mean, I think that like sometimes as players, some players, not me, like you get to take down like a tournament and you're like, wow, like, and you have this confluence of like positive energy all in one location, and this mountaintop, like I crushed it on the best, and only like so many people get to have that experience. I think instead you're gonna have a lot of wins and a lot of losses, and if you're waiting for it to be all wins before you're like, I have grown, you're gonna be waiting a really, really long time.
Very long time.
I think instead
that road is different lengths for other people,
yeah.
right? Like I know that Kevin picked up Magic like pretty quickly, and he's doing super well in tournaments.
He crushes
right?
it.
But I think that it really just depends on you. But my like advice to this person is just like, keep your head up and work on the fundamentals, right? Like work on what is good in this format and then challenge it rather than the other way around.
I'm a big fan of achievable goals. So like my second tournament playing Rogsai, I kept casting like the front side of Bergie in situations where I was definitely supposed to cast the back.
The horn.
Yeah, because I kept thinking like, I need mana. And I didn't recognize that like sometimes in Rogsai you have mana. What you need now is cards. And so like before that tournament, I think I was talking to Logan. And I was like, my goal is in this tournament to cast the right side of Bergie.
Absolutely.
Because I did it like 8 times in a row. All the time, I'm like, I'm getting more mana. Logan's like, you already have like 10 mana in the pool. Like, how much more mana do you need? You have 10 cards in hand, and if they're not the right ones, get rid of them.
You can have 20 cards.
Yeah. Whoa. And so that was my goal. Is I'm like, my goal isn't to like take down this tournament. My goal isn't to like build a list that no one's ever seen before and they'll never see again because I'm moving so fast past them on the way to the top. Instead, I was like, I have good friends who've been pointing out that I have this play pattern that's holding me back. And so I just want to focus on this one thing. And obviously I want to like do everything else well. I want to mulligan well. I want to politic well. I want to like be eating well, drinking well so that I feel hydrated, I feel rested. But like my win condition, aside from winning, obviously, is like, I want to get better about this card that I oftentimes play poorly.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think like having your own goals for each individual game or each individual night of playing is a really good way to progress in your like career as playing a cEDH player.
And so that's something I found. And so player. I think that is a way that we can kind of crystallize some of the more amorphous points of growing as a cEDH player. Because if you wait for these like writing on the wall moments where you're like, I guess I'm a good player now, Let me know how that works out.
Yeah, it's not until you see your win rate at 65% and become an anomaly. Then you could probably be like, oh yeah, that's writing on the wall. I'm pretty good at this.
But this, I think, is a very anecdotal, very personal experience. So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments what some of those level up moments were for you guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or those kind of tide shift of your I now think about the format in a very different way. Speaking of different things, let's go to our next tab. This one says, please help my 60 card brain. Was I spiteful? Let's find out. Hey folks, I played cEDH in the past casually at my local store. Out of it for a while, but getting back into it, my background is mainly Legacy and Modern, so very 60 card brained. I'm in a losing spot, which is fair, for life, and I have a Bowman token out. I get attacked by a Lotho, Tymna, and a Dranith. I have a ring on 2 counters. I tried to talk my way out of it, but realistically, they should kill me. I block the Tymna, take 3 damage, go to my upkeep, and die. The Tymna player is very upset with me. Why did you block my Tymna? I am very confused. What do you mean? You attack, I made the block that would kill your creature. He argues since I should play to optimize my win percentage, there is no reason to block if I'm going to die anyways. It just hurts his chances of winning out of spite. I explained that if you attack me and I have blocks, I would make them. I ask why he didn't just hold Tymna back if losing her was such a big deal. He tells me, rightly, if he didn't attack there, I could have blocked his Lotho and survived it won. I tell him then attacking and losing her was the cost of doing business. Now, I get that this is partly an am I the asshole thing since I see his point now after the fact. I gained 0 win percentage by blocking there. In the future, should I not block in that situation? It goes against my heuristics to not take the profitable block if it's available. But I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong.
Okay, in this very specific situation, I think he has every right to block. And let me explain. He gets his upkeep where he can tap his ring and draw 3 cards, and he might get a Born Upon a Win and win the game.
You literally
right?
never know. Yeah.
100%, he gained percentage points by blocking.
He got an upkeep.
100% he is in the right in the spot. Now, if we boil it down to the question of do you do something when you have 0% chance to win the game? That we can have a conversation about that.
Yeah, because I think that I would very much agree with your assessment. This player was definitely not out of the game. I think we have all been in situations where we're I just need to untap my
just
land.
give me one. Give me one card.
Just untap one of them. Yeah. Just untap this weird Tolarian Academy one. I'm good. And so I think there's a lot of specifics that I think make this situation I think a little bit easier to navigate. I would agree with you. If the one rings on 2 counters, you're going to draw 3 cards.
Yeah. There is no wrongdoing in this situation.
But okay, while I have not been in this specific situation, boy, let me tell you, have I been in situations where I make what I think is a good game decision and someone goes, that's just a spike play. I'm supposed to win here. I'm the guy who wins. Yeah. And I'm like, well, but you're attacking me with creatures so I can block one of them. I'm like, you're supposed to let you kill me. Or for instance, going back to that example that we were talking about earlier, if there are 2 players duking it out, and I have 1 counter spell, at what point am I out of the game? Right? Because we're already in time. That counter spell might draw the game, or it may just swing it in one player's favor.
Right.
If I necro super duper deep and I'm not able to find something, and I just keep 7 counter spells in hand, and I'm probably not able to stop everyone to force it to a draw. So is just stopping one player just kind of kicking them in the nards? At what point?
I think it's really interesting.
Are you out of the game?
So it really depends if you're in a tournament setting or if you're in a casual night, right? Tournament setting, I think that you should be playing to win the tournament. And if you are in that spot where you think you're actually out of the game, which I would argue you're probably not with the Necropotence, you should try to play for that draw, or not play for the draw, but leave that as an option on the table, right? Again, if we're saying you have 0% chance, do you do something?
Yeah. So first off, you said something that I think is really, really important, that it was kind of a level up moment for me actually at Fishbowl. And that was talking to a comedian. One of the things he was talking about is like a lot of people think they're out of the game way before they're actually out of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. I think that like a lot of cEDH players need to like learn to like fight tooth and nail. And like, sure, your big spell got countered. Sure, you've got 0 cards in hands. But like, you are a smart person. You are playing a cEDH deck. Probably like you are still until time is called. You are in that game.
Yeah.
But you do end up in situations, where like as you're in a Final Fortune turn, someone casts a silence, and you were supposed to like you can't cast your demonic tutor. To get your Underworld Breach. So all you're left with is like an Otawara. Am I supposed to like Otawara the other person's like Hullbreaker Horror? Even though like I can't cast any spells, I'm about to die.
Right.
Am I supposed to like, at least I can Deadly Raw at Kinnan, right? Or at that point, am I just using resources?
I think you go off into the sunset like that, right?
You think so?
I think no, opposite. I think you just like, all right, I'm holding my cards. I'm out of here,
okay,
right?
yeah. So absolutely the opposite. You're like, if the writing is on the wall, one of those few situations where you're like, something literally says lose the game on the stack. I cannot pay for this Pact of Negation. You would say do not Chain of Vapor that like Grand Abolisher back to Blue Farm's hand.
Yeah, probably. I'd probably unless there was some way for a deal to be made for me to stay in that game, I'm not casting that spell.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, for example, like if it's like that Pact of Negation, I have a Chain of Vapor. It's like, does someone have a Candelabra?
Oh, yeah.
Like, untap my lands, and I'm Chain of Vaporing this Grand Abolisher.
I've actually done that at
right?
Rest several
times.
times.
Is there anything
Yeah.
that keeps me in this game?
Yeah.
I'll do it. But if there's nothing, I'll take my cards and go home.
That's really interesting. So you would and I would agree with you on this. You're like, if you think you're out of the game, you're actually probably still in it. But if you are in a situation where factual, you're just done.
Yeah. Game
over. You would say you and the piece of interaction in your hand are also done.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, how about you?
See, I think one of the things I liked about this question is I have no earthly idea. I think one of my pitfalls as a player is I think I have had a lot of games where I settled for draws where I was supposed to fight a little bit harder.
Oh, I've definitely been there too.
So I think I am still growing into the like no, I would rather like take my chances and lose than draw.
Okay.
But and I also have been, playing a lands deck. I have actually untapped like a lot of people's lands to help them pay for Pact of Negation.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
I was just talking to not this Logan, but HR department.
LA,
about like he's been thinking about putting together like Yoshi Thras, and I was like, one of the craziest things in that deck is that you can just untap so many people's lands.
It's wild. The amount of swan songs I've activated in mono green.
Yep, absolutely.
So that I think is I think in many ways I just don't have the experience I think to give this question the full scope of wisdom that I think it deserves. But imagining if I were in that situation where I have all the necessary context clues to conclude that like I'm done, but I've got a Deadly Rollick, a Beseiju in hand, and I'm like, am I supposed to use these to force a draw? Like try to take out whoever in the lead and try to even the odds?
Oh, interesting. Like you try to play for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like I could see that point for sure. The realistic thing is like, I don't know if there's very many situations where you're actually out of the game until you've lost the game.
It's very rare.
Like we've had to come up with a pretty wild scenario.
Yeah, very specific.
Yeah.
Not completely untenable, but pretty unlikely.
Yeah. To be like, oh, I am actually toast, right?
Yeah. I think that in this moment, I feel pretty convinced by I think like the argument you made of like let the chips fall where they may, and if you end up in a situation where you're not able to win, so all you can do is affect other people's win percentage.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's your job. So I think in a space where I don't know what I would do, I think like many people, I would default to like non-action.
Yeah.
Like if I don't know that me doing something would be the right decision, then I just won't do anything.
I think there's just so much context in this conversation, right? Like, what is the time? What's the next person? What's their board state look like? And can you affect it long enough for it to get to time, right? Like, there's so many things.
Yeah. But even all that being said, if I talked to someone and they were like, nope, while I could not cast my Demonic Tutor, I was still able to flash out an OBM and ping down the devoted druid that I knew was going to like combo off next turn because I think it was going to get me a draw, and 1 point is worth more than 0 points.
Yeah,
I get
you're
it.
doing it for sure. Yeah, I think that's like pretty commendable as well, right? Like I think that's absolutely very okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I think the thing I would want to spend more energy focusing on is exactly like you said. In the situation that this player described, I think they definitely still very much have like a window.
Oh yeah, not just a window, like a decent window.
Yeah. Theoretically, in most cEDH decks, you should be able to draw 3 cards and do whatever you want.
Yep.
But speaking of being able to do whatever you want, you should come play in our league, right? It's been going for 1 week, and we already have 180 games in.
It's bananas.
It is a league. There are points on the line. You do have to either be a paid member of our Patreon or that's a good card.
Yep.
So there are some stakes. There's a little bit of an ante there, but I have really enjoyed. I think this has very well simulated a combination of kind of combining the threads of a lot of our conversations, the tEDH space of like competitive, you're making optimal decisions, as well as the cEDH space, casual Wednesday night of you're joking, laughing, having a fun time. And for the most part, I feel like everyone walks away from games with like really good energy. Yep. And when we were talking to Logan earlier, it is not uncommon for people to just hang out in the lobby and keep talking about what happened in the game. And so there definitely is still time to be a part of the league. I believe we are still doing the points wager system, but it is 4% instead of 7%.
No, it's 7% this.
It's back to 7%.
Yeah, back to 7%.
Oh, that feels
good.
But
it's like it's skewed for your seeding order in top deck now.
Oh,
so like
interesting.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's randomized seeding order. Randomized seeding order, but we're using top deck seeding instead of just rolling.
It's good to hear that it's 7% points because I have 2 wins this league. Booyah!
Stakes are Doot Loot, $250 for
Doot Loot.
Which
get in there.
There's some real bangers.
Yeah,
in there.
He's got some fire cards that you could get like a third of with $250.
I was looking at the ad nauseum and I was like,
he's got an impressive library of cards. If you're on cEDH Twitter, I'm sure you've seen people post about it all the time.
And then we also have cards up on the market too. So we have the Esper Sentinel from last month, and a artist print Tormod's Crypt with some certification on it.
Yeah.
Some other random stuff. I know a Japanese Ristic Study and some other really cool cards.
A lot of cEDH staples. Yeah. So definitely get in there, be playing games. I think we were kind of commiserating about the fact that like we both now live very far away from like Littleton.
Yeah.
But this has been.
Woo! So we just got handed the cards from producer Logan.
Okay.
We got Tormod's Crypt, the Esper Sentinel, like I was saying, Japanese Ristic Study. We got a Smothering Tide Japanese.
Whoa, Smythe.
The Final Fortune.
Whoa,
also Japanese.
As discussed.
A foil Necropotence
Holy
Japanese,
cow.
which is gas. We got the Enduring Vitality.
Whoa.
Altered.
Who taps for mana?
Altered,
I do.
Alternative frame. Narset. If you talk to Tai Ohio, he's really high on this card.
Yeah. Don't try to draw cards when she's around.
Yeah. 6. Which I'm a big fan of this card.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think this card's really underplayed.
Yeah. Gonna swing 6 at you? Don't worry. It's only 2 damage.
Are you on 6 in Rydia? You have to be, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I was like, you have to be.
Dude, in a singleton format, getting to run 2 Underworld Breaches.
And that is...
That's Unwinding Clock, right?
Is that Unwinding Clock?
Yeah.
Unwinding Clock.
Yeah.
In the retro frame. Mud foil, which is what I like to call it.
Yeah, that's from the Brothers War.
It is schematic, yeah. Schematic,
so if you're fighting one of your siblings and you want a second upkeep, get this card from Brothers War for your artifacts.
Also, if you live in a weird time zone, join our league because there's games happening 10 hours of the day, if not
time.
more.
All the time.
I think we started a game at 11 a.m. Mountain Time on Wednesday, and those games were going until 1 or 2 in the morning at Mountain Time again. So there's
3 games going right
now. Like, it's going all the time. Like, come join us, high quality players. I don't think you'll get better practice, really.
Yeah, I think I really appreciated it, both trying to like play in tournaments more, but also trying to like I want cEDH to have like a place in my life, but also I feel like it's really easy for Magic to like take over your life. And so having something that's like very easy to essentially like schedule when I'm going to play cEDH, because there's always games available. I think that's one more way where I'm very thankful to you guys. Shout out, if you've played a game with me, you know who you are. Yep. I know who you are. Austin probably knows. I
have a really bad memory. I'll keep track.
But it's just like cEDH, it is a 4-player format. And we only have 3 people in this room right now. So at the very least, we need at least one more. I am so grateful for the fact that I feel like it's always a good game. So definitely looking forward to all the games that are going to keep happening. And once again, because of the points wager system, even though you're a week in, you absolutely still have a shot of making it.
If you join the league now, you're doing better than me.
Oh, we're doing top 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top 16.
If you've ever been in a tournament that was top cut to 13 and you got 14th, your redemption arc is here.
Yep.
That 6 could be yours. Maybe a Smothering Tithe if it makes it that far. This is the Endstone of the episode.
Just another card that was spoiled today.
Yeah, legendary artifact. This can probably be a commander in like 2 months. Man, not in my cEDH. Let's see. It seems like really interesting. Probably something that like Sis is gonna cheat out.
No, this is an Arkham card. If I've ever seen an Arkham card before in my life.
Where's that metal worker going? No.
So this is the Endstone. Whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half of your starting life total, rounded up.
Whoa.
So you could Necro down to 1, and then Endstone back up to 20.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't think... questionable if you ever play Necro and this card at the same time, but it's possible.
Man, 7 mana is so expensive.
It's so much. Unless you're Arkham Daxon.
Yeah. If I know anything about Arkham Daxon, it's that he's playing lands left and right.
Yeah.
And boy does Arkham Daxon care about his life total. So,
So no, I truly, I was already talking to Tyler about this. I saw this card and immediately hit him up and was just like, is this... And he's like... The Arkham Daxon Discord has never been more active than right now.
That's crazy. 4 people online at once?
I literally was like, wait, so it's you and the other guy's DMs popping off?
That's crazy that both of you guys were online at the same time. I'm so sorry, Arkham Daxon Discord. I'm tired and eepy, and that is not your fault. I am just really regretting not also getting fries with my salad at Chick-fil-A because I'm a little hungry. No, I think that this is a really cool card, and like because I think one of the cool things about Arkham Daxon is it gets to play all these huge artifacts. I can kind of see this going like decent in Magda.
What other deck that's like kind of on the rise that might play this? Zuladoc.
Maelstrom Wanderer.
And Maelstrom Wanderer.
Low key, if you squint, they do kind of do the same thing.
Yeah. No, but truly, Zuladoc with this card would probably go nuts.
Oh, dude. Fuck. You know what this is really good with? Imagine, like, dude, if you cast this off a Bolus, this is going to be crazy during your Bolus turn.
Oh, yeah.
And you can go as deep as you want and then go right back up. Man.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
And if you're on, like, the Welder plan, like, you can get both of them eventually.
Wrong side
card?
Yeah.
Shrug. We got a shrug this time.
Cut Song of Creation for this, Rog Thras.
I mean, you need green pips for
Blue
it.
farm. Time to pitch breach. Now you don't have to exile cards anymore. Just cast them.
Yeah, but I think this card will see play in some decks.
Yeah. I'm interested to see if like Sisse finds a way to like break it. Yeah, Sisse really doesn't cast.
There's no
that
payoff.
much.
Like yeah, exactly.
It's too bad that it's not whenever like a land enters the battlefield you draw a card.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah. Man, I just also wanted to say, like, if your commander costs 6 mana and is a bear, you win the game when you cast it.
I can't wait for someone to have this out and play Thoracle and kill themselves.
I can't wait for someone to like turbo this out. Like Ancient Tomb, Mana Vault, Grim Monolith. And then for me to be like, whoa, this is like the best copy artifact ever. I guess listening to my own words in this moment, I seem to be not very hot on this card. I definitely can and more than likely will be wrong. But yeah, that's the. Don't nod your head to that, Logan. Why is that the thing I say that you agree with? Anyways, that seems a really good place to end the episode. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being part of our league. And then if you're going to the level 7 tournament on Sunday, stop by and say hi. Or if you're going to Summer Classic or Pool Priority, make sure you have a good time. And someone better take home that Judge Cradle.
Yeah.
If you're in our Discord, make sure you hit up the Bling channel. I will react with a fire emoji. And that's an Eric promise. Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.